Chin Chin au Canada, bonne fête.
Happy birthday, Canada!
I'm here to tell you why you should continue learning French. There are lots of websites and videos out there that will tell you why you should continue learning French. You'll get access to more media, you meet a lot of new people.
Mon cœur,
Quoi?
on sort ce soir.
Bah si tu veux, mais tu veux faire quoi?
Aller manger dehors.
Tu veux aller, je sais pas, McDo, tacos?
McDo, Kevin? La tablette pour mettre des paillettes sur mes yeux, 65 €, et tu me proposes un McDo à 10 balles? Les calculs sont pas bons, Kevin.
Ah si, il y a plus de...
C'est quand tu vas mettre des paillettes dans ma vie, Kevin?
It's very useful if you want to live abroad.
Your uncle mows your tuna. Ton, 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 ton.
Ton, 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 ton.
And these are all true things. They're very sound advice. But I'm here to talk to you about something much more personal, much more valuable life-wise when it comes to learning a language. How I saw myself learning French was the learning French part was in fact just one domino and a long list of dominoes. It propelled me to a better life. Like, I'm actually talking about improving your actual life quality. What French has afforded me was actually the ability to understand what it meant to be a New Zealander in today's world and what that means being a citizen of the world. What I realized was actually in New Zealand, we New Zealanders are very complacent. We really believe in thinking, well, you know, she'll be right. What we have now is good enough. We don't need to go above and beyond what we have. And I think that's just a massive shame. It's so sad that the rest of the world has all these amazing things that we just don't bother accessing or we don't bother participating in just because we think, well, we're some islands in the South Pacific, like, we're quite far away from the rest of the world. Who cares? Like, we've got what we've got and we're just gonna do with what we do. I think it's just a massive shame. The whole point that I'm trying to make here is that actually, French is much more than just learning a language. It's actually your first step in unlocking a future that you didn't know was actually made available to you. Growing up in New Zealand, we were raised with this idea, this kind of automatic dream that we're meant to have, which is you know, grow up, you graduate, or you get a job, or both, you buy a house, maybe a dog, or a cat, whatever tickles you fancy, you have some children, and that's it, you've got the perfect New Zealand life. You're paying off your mortgage for the next 30 years, and you stay at home, maybe do a few trips here and there, but it's boring, like it's complacent. I'm one of the only people I know from New Zealand who's not saving up for a house or retirement or whatever, but instead I'm living my best life around the world, you know, like it's an exciting youth. And I think that's really valuable because I talk to my friends back home and they're doing the same old stuff day in, day out. You know, after their degree, they're just kind of working to save up to pay off their mortgage, save up for a mortgage. And it's just frankly sad. Really, learning French is more than just learning a language. It really is about getting yourself out of this sad complacency of becoming an adult too quickly. I think that's probably the greatest lesson I've learned from learning French. Learning French taught me that it's okay to not have to rush my university degree or to rush into a job, rush my career, rush into a house. And it's okay to take my time. Right now, while I'm completing this double degree between Stockholm and Paris, I've met a lot of Swedes who are finishing their degrees at 27, 28, who have absolutely no worry at all about buying a house anytime soon because for them, they believe in having a youth. And when I talk to French people, young French people also completing degrees at 25, 26, they themselves also agree that they're here to live life. And I think that's something that you need to learn when you leave New Zealand. If you really want to understand what it means to leave the comforts of New Zealand, and by that I also mean like leaving this comfort of English-speaking countries, of countries that have the same cultural background as you because of British colonialization. If you really want to understand what it means to not be in the shoes of a New Zealander, I implore you to learn French. Maybe you might experience what it means to be young and to enjoy being young without the rush, without the stress of having to buy a house or, you know, getting a good career job or anything like that. And what's nice is that there's so many scholarships and opportunities out there for people who speak French. If you don't speak French, you just can't make the most of those opportunities. So I implore you, if you really want to understand what it means to live a life outside of complacent New Zealand, house-owning New Zealand, stressful, rushing New Zealand, then learn French, leave New Zealand, spend a year or 2 or 5 or 10, or like me, just leave it for good, and learn French. You never know what will come. There are so many times in New Zealand where I thought to myself, I'm fine with what I have now. I don't have to go further. And if I had actually listened to myself, I would never have found myself here in Stockholm. I wouldn't find myself in Paris next year. This is the reality that we live in, like as New Zealanders. Our country sets us up for complacency, for, frankly, mediocrity. And that's not the only way to live life. And to really discover other ways of living life, I really implore you to learn French. Kia ora.